Okay. So, all right. So, I guess we'll start with like okay, some background on so, uh, all right. So, Dathomir, or like okay, so the idea I had from your kind of origin, some things I read in the extended or expanded universe is that basically, especially during the Empire, it was like it was a very matriarchal society, right? So it's run by women and the men are slaves. Um, After the fall of the Empire, it kind of society was shifting more towards equality. So you would have basically like men only communities and women only communities. But of course, they need to reproduce to keep the race living, like Dathomir, populated. So basically, the non-Night Sister tribes, so just like the regular people on Dathomir, basically once a year will meet up. There will be kind of like weddings, quote unquote, but not in the sense that we think of. It's basically like they're united for that 1 month. They copulate and then they leave, and then then they do it again next year, and so on and so forth. And at when the children are basically all the kids stay with the female tribe, but when they're 3, they're brought to these meetings, and the boys are given to the male tribe. The girls get to meet the fathers, like all that stuff. So basically, um, you are actually a product of a set of tribes that actually combine themselves. So the Broken Columns, which was a male dominated clan, and the Reigning Leaves, which was a female dominated clan, finally came together and made called the Rising Sun clan, and you are the child or a child of the Rising Sun clan. And then when it was discovered that you were a force sensitive male, which even though like the old ways are kind of going aside, you still would not be taught anything force based. You were given to Jedi by your father.
Okay.
Okay, good so far. Okay, but of course, like you said, probably you're, let's say, like a cousin or something, like a fairly close relative of Savage. What was his name? Savage something.
The Savage Press.
Savage Press, right? Wow, what like a blunt way to put that name, right?
Yeah, Savage Press, who is also the brother of Darth Maul. So it's like,
Okay, so yeah, you're then they're your cousins basically. Um, so you kind of have that shadow, I guess. It's a secret that was probably kept pretty close because now that the empire's fallen and everything, they're probably kind of frowned upon, especially with their ties with the Night Sisters and things like that. So it's something that to protect you, it. You were originally told when you got older, but it's not something that is bandied about at all. It's kind of like your secret, I guess. Like
yeah.
Luke knows probably, but he might be the only one on the council that knows. Um. Okay, so we kind of got like how you got into the order. Kind of give me like a rundown of like how did you grow up in the order? Like what did how did you carry yourself in your early training?
Well, independence has always been an aspiration,
Mm-hmm.
considering the shadows of the old ways of on Dathomir, with the men always being in sort of subjugation and stuff. So wanting to prove myself, like, I suppose, in the eyes of the New Republic and the Jedi Order, as a proxy of not necessarily having a what I suppose we would consider a normal family environment.
Right.
I was always never felt the need to make friends or anything like that. So always try to do stuff on my own, and of course that it's a good thing in some ways, I guess. But of course, they would want teamwork because it's just as important.
Makes the dream work.
Yeah.
You're like that. that Mon Cal Padawan from the Clone Wars series. What's his name? Kit Fisto's like old Padawan that runs off on his own. Like, and he gets killed by what's his name? The robot guy, General Grievous. But you're not dead yet, kind of thing. Like, you're headstrong. I mean, you're a Zabrak, so that kind of makes sense. You're a headstrong man. You've always felt the need to kind of like prove yourself.
Nadar Veb.
Yep, thank you. So you've always wanted to kind of prove yourself, to kind of remove the shackles of being, a male Dathomiri, but also, trying to overcome the dark shadow of your cousins. Yeah. Whether or not anyone knows about it, you still, I mean, it's gotta be hard, right? Like, you grow up and you hear these like great tales of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker and all these people that have fought Sith and lived or what have you during the wars, and a lot of times Savage Opress and Darth Maul are mentioned as being these evil, terrible people that need to be defeated by the great hero, which is the Jedi, always, right? So even if they weren't directed at you, it still sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Who were your heroes? Like, when you go through when you're doing like your Jedi history lessons, who really stands out to you as like your Jedi role model?
It's actually a good question.
So, as a reminder, like, I don't think anyone knows, except for like a very few select people, that Anakin is actually Vader. So Anakin kind of vanished, right? So he was a great general at one point.
People don't really know about his and Obi-Wan's fight on whatever the planet was?
Mustafar?
Yes.
I doubt it. That's probably one of those like closely guarded secrets kind of thing.
Okay.
So if anything, you would hear a story of like Anakin being struck down, but not by whom or for what reason. But most people just assume that Anakin just kind of vanished. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is like Anakin could be a hero in some lights still, because he was a great general. But I guess like who do you look up to in the Jedi Order?
Probably Mace Windu.
Mace? I assume so. Like, he's kind of he created this form of lightsaber combat all his own. And he one of the most powerful like saber wielders of all time, right? So that makes sense. I guess. Go ahead.
Strong, independent black man who don't need no help.
Right, pretty much. God, I hate how he went down too. Like, stupid fucking. God damn it. Anyway. So you look up to Mace Windu. Now, is it kind of like, do you have like a hero worship thing where you're always going through and like rereading tales of his battles and like looking at his archives and like trying to study his style? Or is it more so like you just, whenever you need inspiration, you just kind of think of him? Like, I guess, how do you go about idolizing him in your head?
Not necessarily like a hero worship, because that can get sort of I don't know, it can get weird.
Yeah, with the light side stuff, right?
Yeah, it's more just like I'm trying to think of as a quote. It's like in times where I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I think, in the tales I've read of the great Mace Windu, what would he do here?
So WWMD, what would Mace do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So he's like your battle chant. Like, I'm down and out. Like, I'm struggling here. Let me channel Master Mace and save the day or save myself or what have you. That makes sense.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mace Windu comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be.
Okay, kind of like you hear that whisper in the Force, and you just always attribute that to being Mace Windu when you hear that kind of inspiration.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. let's see. What other questions did I have? So independence is your strong suit. What's that weakness that goes with it?
Coldness.
Coolness. Okay. So I guess what's a way that coldness has got you in trouble in your Padawan or your initiate training? Um, how has that been tempered by the order?
Well, in times where they've like set me up with partners to like spar with or something, and they're like, I think they're holding me back or something, I like explode or something, and just like, I don't need your help, go away.
Okay,
And
so
sort of had to learn that, um, even if I don't think I need help, if my masters tell me that I should work with people, I should try my best.
okay, okay, that makes sense. So like basically like, hey, you know, like you're gonna have to do this one way or another, so you might as well accept it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So, but it still comes out every once in a while, right? Like you still there's times where you just don't want to. I mean, like in the case, for example, like you decided that you were going to go off on your own, and you were going to explore the caves. Nobody else wanted to, so like you just go do it on your own.
Yep.
Okay. Um. So let me pull up something real quick on lightsaber constructions because what we're going to do, we're going to kind of talk through what your ideal lightsaber is going to be. You won't have it until you get back to the temple, but we're going to kind of work through what you want it to be. So let me craft a lightsaber. Here we go. Okay, so building the hilt. It is okay. What is better for
Well,
you, Hung? Say what?
going back to Saberforge, right?
Basically, yeah, we're going to Saberforge. Oh, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, you can. Because this is gonna be you making your dual bladed lightsaber. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So, what is better for you? Your mechanics or your knowledge lore?
1 second. Let me look at that. Come on, let's load here.
Right.
Character sheet.
Let me turn my light on because I can't see shit. Give me like 2 minutes. All right, did your sheet load up for you?
Yes, they're both the same.
They're both the same. Okay. Let me bring up my dice pool here. Okay. Go ahead and roll. Okay. First of all, hold on. Let's clear this out. I don't foresee us using Destiny, but go ahead and roll me 2 Destiny dice. Oh, that's good. Wow. Okay. Good job. All right. So. Blah 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 blah. Okay. So this is gonna be you constructing your what's it called? Double-bladed lightsaber hilt. So if you want to spend some force die to upgrade, you're more than welcome to. On your pick whichever one you want to roll, whichever check, and then upgrade it the appropriate number of times, and then make your roll.
Appropriate number of times meaning what? How many?
How many green die do you have?
I have 2.
You could use two lights out if you wanted here.
Okay, I'll do that then. You said upgraded twice?
Yep. All right, you succeed. Good. Make me one more roll with the same pool. Because you're kind of doing like a double-bladed hilt, so let's see how you do for the whole thing. Okay, no, cool. That's fine. Alright, so you have a double-bladed lightsaber hilt. So let's go to page, I think it's 177. Out. In the core rule book. Get my big-ass book out. Okay. Here we go. So, you have a double-bladed lightsaber.
What is unwieldy again?
Unwieldy 3 means, so it's unwieldy, you have to have agility equal to the ranks in unwieldy.
Okay.
Which I think you do, right?
Oh yeah, it was unwieldy is the agility, it was cumbersome that was the brawn.
Yeah, that's for the pike.
Okay, yeah. Then I have 4 agility, so.
Okay, so do you have the table open so you can see what the stuff is?
Yeah, it's breach 1, linked 1, sunder, unwieldy 3.
Yeah, and linked means that you can basically spend something to hit again. So that you hit twice, basically. Linked. I think that's actually in my DM screen. Open that up. Page 160. Yeah, so, okay, page 161 for that linked quality. In that area, at least. Okay, linked. Some weapon, blah, blah, blah. When using a linked weapon on successful attack, the weapon deals 1 hit. The wielder may spend 2 advantage to gain an additional hit, and may do so a number of times equal to the weapon's linked rating. Additional hits from linked weapon may only be applied against the original target. Each hit deals the weapon's base damage plus the total number of uncancelled successes. So basically, you can deal double damage if you get 2 advantages.
Okay, so instead of critting, I can use it to hit again.
Yes, and you're linked 1, so you can only do that once.
Okay.
Yeah. And then unwieldy 3. So if you ever lose agility, either temporarily or permanently, you won't be able to use the weapon, I don't think. Let's see if it gives you like a penalty or if you just can't do it at all. Oops. Dang. How far right down they go to find unwieldy? Damn. Oh, here we go. Okay, so if you're below the rating, you have to increase the difficulty by 1. So if you're at 2, then it's 1. If it's 1, then it's 2, so on. So you,
Okay.
but you have 4 agility, so you would have to lose 2 before you had any issues, and that's like unlikely. Okay, you now have a double-bladed lightsaber. Okay, so you constructed that. Did you have any mods on your lightsaber from before?
No.
Okay, so you do have. Okay, so its encumbrance 2. Its base hard points are 4, so you can do that. Yeah, range engage, damage 6, crit 2. Yes, okay. So you have 4 hard points to work with. We can do 1 here. While we're making this, we can add in an upgrade. So if you want to go to page,
I fixed it. I fixed it somehow.
What do you mean you fix it somehow?
The the lightsaber roll.
Oh,
On
it
the
just it's
combat
working now.
tab.
Yeah, nice. It's a good roll too, and because like right there, boom, you get double damage. So you deal.
I also it was also still upgraded, unfortunately, but whatever.
Ah. Oh, you gotta take down the upgrade things in the dice pool at the top.
I would still be able to hit again and crit.
Yep, you could crit and linked, yeah, and you would just do 12 damage.
Would I roll another hit, or I would just hit?
No,
again?
it's just you do the same damage for both blades.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I mean it's a really good thing. It's just, I mean the drawback is you get 1 less hard point than everybody else. Okay, so you can do any. Well, let's see. Okay, look at the lightsaber attachments, but you can't do anything that is like no gems, so no new crystals or anything.
So I have the number of hard points in the actual thing.
Yeah, so you just have 4.
Okay.
So the way it's supposed to work is, if you get a spare, you lose 1. If you get a triumph, you gain 1. But otherwise, everything determines just how long it takes you. So based on that, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. So basically, it took you about 8 hours to do that. So basically, you were in a meditation for essentially all day, putting a lightsaber together bit by bit.
Okay.
And now that you've done that, you are able to you're able to give yourself one upgrade. You can get, let's see what you can get. Superior hilts. I'll say no on the curved hilt. You can get dual phase. Oh, so basically you have 2 options. You have dual phase and superior hilt. Or you can mod your gear. Huh?
The dual phase it works underwater, right?
No, dual phase may change the blade length once per encounter as an incidental. The next attack that turn made by this character ignores the target's melee defense. It requires 2 hard points. Basically, it gives you like a once per encounter. It gives you like just a free like shot at somebody. I think it ignores all their armor. Yeah, if they have any melee defense, you're just like nope.
It's once per encounter, you said?
Yep, once per encounter. In superior hilt personalization, grants the lightsaber superior quality. Only takes 1 hard point. It basically just increases the damage by 1. I think. What's superior? Or superior quality at? $164. Oh damn, it's like way back there. Okay, superior. It's a passive. Superior item is a sterling example of its kind. Oh, a superior weapon generates 1 advantage on all checks related to its use, and its base damage is increased by 1.
So if I choose superior, I'm sorry, it increases the damage by 1 and does what now?
So it gives you +1 damage. It gives you just an advantage on anything you do with that weapon. Yeah, that's it.
I'll do
Or
superior. I'll probably or what?
or you can so if you can do that, or you can, because I'm gonna give you guys armor, you can upgrade your armor once. Which would you prefer?
I'm gonna do superior hilt
Okay,
personalization,
that's fine. Do your thing.
and just so write it as superior.
Yep.
And then it has a modifier of 1A.
Yep. Lowercase a as well. Yep. Just like that.
And I would hit again.
Yep.
Wonderful.
You could crit or or whatever's. So yeah, that's good. All right. So now you get armor. What is your total encumbrance capacity?
7.
7. Okay. So your weapon, your dual bladed lightsaber. What's its encumbrance?
2.
2. Okay. So you're permanently at 2, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the thing. Stuff that you have in a.
I also have the utility belt, which increases my encumbrance.
So would it be 8 then?
1 second.
Hold on. What's your? It's something plus brawn. I think it's 5 plus brawn.
Let
Yeah,
me look
it's
that up
5.
because it's 1 second. Let me look at that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 5 plus brawn. That's so.
It increases character's encumbrance threshold by 1.
So what is?
So it's 8 instead.
I just want to make sure that that's right. Let me go.
That's what the rulebook says.
Well, I'm saying I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out what your base encumbrance is. Making sure. I think it's 5 plus brawn, which would give you 8 total. Because you have 2 brawn, right?
It's 5 plus brawn, which would be 7 plus 1 is 8.
Yeah,
Yes.
that sounds right. 159.
I also have a backpack, which increases my encumbrance by 4. Or my threshold, I suppose.
Well, shit. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's 5 plus brawn. Okay, cool. So you have four encumbrance that's in your backpack. Um, so that's kind of separate thing. 'Cause, like if you're carrying your backpack on you, it doesn't really count as encumbrance just because you're kind of walking around. It's not very bad. But if you pick out anything from the pack, then it adds to your encumbrance as you're holding it in your hand. Um, but so what I was gonna say, and the reason I was doing all of that and being picky, was armored robes are 5 encumbrance. So if you wanted to wear armored robes, you would be at your encumbrance max, and you literally can only put things in your backpack at that point.
No, cause with the lightsaber, I have 2 encumbrance out of 8, and it's 5 encumbrance for the armor, so I'd
Well,
be at 7 of 8.
you're one encumbrance, so like one of your encumbrances in a hip pouch.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
I'm trying to see. I think it says something about like how encumbrance works if you're carrying it like on you or wearing it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when armor is worn, its encumbrance is halved.
Okay, so if I were to get armored robes, it would be 2. Was it
Um,
rounded down?
I think so. I'm about to check that now. I gotta find it. Because like the encumbrance is listed is like if you were just like walking around holding it, but you're gonna be wearing it most of the time. Let's see. Oh no, its encumbrance rating is reduced by 3 points when worn, so it's just two. Yeah, it's two. So note that it is 5 encumbrance, but you're wearing it, so it's two. But you get armored robes if you wish, or you can get um, padded armor, heavy clothing, anything really. But armored robes are like the best. So, if you want to use those, it is defense 1 and soak 2.
I thought
And
you
you look
said that
and you look
it was.
badass.
It was versus. It was. So you said it was either upgrading my armor or upgrading my lightsaber.
Yep, exactly.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll do the. I'll do the armored robes.
Okay. And their hard points are 2, by the way. So just a little bit of random stuff. You're gonna have that stuff when you get well I'll tell you when you get it, but this is gonna go ahead and just kind of do the bookkeeping now so we can move through the episode later when we have the whole group.
Okay.
And then you can make note in your defense that you have one range, one melee, and 2 soak.
Yep.
Wait, do you have anything extra in soak, or is it just you just have 2, right? Like you don't have anything that passively gives you soak.
Nope. I just have 2.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Okay. These are considered restricted, by the way, when it asks for the restricted status. Hmm. Oh, you have a lot in control and enhanced basic power. Holy shit.
Yes.
You were a force wielding motherfucker. Okay. Um. All right. So we got all the.
I got the of course the base part, and then all the way down to the commit thing, and then the force leap.
Okay. All right. That's all the unfun rules heavy stuff. Wow, you only have one in cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why I like I have one presence and I have 3 will. That's why vigilance is my what I like.
Okay. Um. Okay. So, kind of bookkeeping stuff done. So back to Baxis's early years in that order, right? So, all right, we've established you're a loner, right? You know, you can be kind of cold, but you're an independent Zabrak. You're not kind of doing things on your own. So go ahead and just flip those over. Now that you use them. So tell me, like your first master, right? Like the first person that trained you like one on one before you became part of this crew. Did you chafe under their authority? Did you relish being, given one on one lessons? Like how did that go? Tell me about your first master.
Um, do we know which masters are there by name?
Yeah. So Luke hasn't taken a Padawan. He's been doing a lot of like missions, so he's kind of out and about a lot. But you have so Corin Horn is one. He's a former Rogue Squadron pilot, Rogue Squadron pilot. Yeah, him. There's let's see, us. Hold on, Saba Sebatine. She's actually a what's it called? What's that race? Like the lizard race?
Barabel.
Yep, she's a Barabel. Thank you.
What was the? How do you spell the other guy you just said?
Corin, so Coren, Horn. Um, so Sava Savatine, she's like pretty. She's kind of like if you could pick someone in the New Jedi or closest to Mace Windu, probably her. I think she was a Barabel. Yeah, she was a Barabel.
Yeah. You said Corin. What was his last name?
Horn. So Horne, I think. Let's see. So let's look up some people here. Who do I see that I recognize the names of? I can give you like a kind of a breakdown. Oh, there's Kent Hamner. He's a former he's like a former like military guy that became a Jedi. So he's very strategic in his stuff. Like he's very like militaristic, right? There's Silgal, but she's more so of a she's like the medical. She's a Mon Calamari. She's like the medical master. So I doubt she kind of fit your style. There's Kip Duran. He's kind of a younger, more brash Jedi. Think Obi-Wan Kenobi, but not as powerful. Like with the same attitude. Like kind of pretty like Obi-Wan Kenobi from Clone Wars, right? Like kind of flirtatious, super cocky, but he's a capable Jedi. There's Corin Horn, of course. He's ex-military as well. Kyle Katarn, similar to Kip Duran, but he's a little bit older. Let's see. Who else? There's Octaramus. That's one that I don't. I know the name, but I'm not too familiar with Octaramus.
Okay, so
Human.
I'm sorry. What was the guy you said before?
Which one?
The one before Octaramus.
Kyle Katarn.
Okay.
He
I'm just like
is.
opening up their wiki pages. That's all.
I think he was actually. He actually went to the dark side at one point and then came back. I think. I think that was Kyle Katarn. Yeah, okay, he fell to the dark side. So yeah, Kyle Katarn is actually, yeah, he's a once Dark Jedi recommitted to the Jedi Order, and you hear like words of him becoming a master. There's Cam Solasar, also human Jedi. Not anything of note about him. He's just kind of like a master. So, anything like sticking out to you?
Probably you said Saba 17 was the closest to Mace Windu.
Yeah, Saba 17. Yeah.
Probably her.
Okay, here, let me send you her name so you can see like how it's spelled and stuff.
I have her Wikipedia page open.
Okay, yeah.
Her Star Wars wiki page open.
Yeah, okay, so that's her. She's pretty cool. She's actually she's a council member. Um, so yeah, she's I mean, yeah, so she's very her whole like all of her speaking is like hunting analogies. Um, and while at first you have no idea, because she's always mentioning animals that are from Barab, it's like this animal, hunts this animal leaves the nest, and we have to protect the nest. Like, she makes all these kind of allegory that you don't quite get, but over time you start to kind of learn what she's talking about.
Shaka when the walls fell, sort of thing.
Yeah, basically. Like,
That's hilarious.
Let's see if does he have any quotes? I don't think it mentions any. See if it has anyone. And she always says this one when she refers to herself.
There are a couple. There's one that's like hunt the moment, a hunt to remember.
Oh yeah, she refers to older people and elders as longtails, and things like that. And she calls you like tailless when she's like insulting you. So things like that, but very like and she kind of sounds like lizardy.
Yeah.
So this one thinks that's a terrible idea, like that kind of stuff. But that's her. So how was your training under Saba?
For the most part, was good. We butted heads several times concerning my tendency to be cold towards other Padawan.
Okay.
Other than that, I can't really think of other ways I would have butted heads.
Okay. So let's like do like a loose role play. There like won't be any rolling or anything. Just kind of like we're like sitting around a campfire and you're telling a story, right? So we go back. I don't know, like 5 or so years before you're part of this band of Padawans and you're working for the Order of First Knowledge, and you and your master are out. Let's say, okay, here we go. This is a perfect example, right? So you're back on Dathomir. And you were sent here because you are part of one of the tribes here that is, because you're a former Broken Column. So I know I mentioned like the Rising Sun clans, but let's back up on that. So you're a son of the Broken Columns and the Rainy Leaves, and the leaders of those two clans are talking about bringing the two clans together now to form the Rising Sun clan. But there's a lot of heated debates because some of the a lot of the females and a lot of them are very much like, we want to keep the old ways. We like the way things were. We like, keeping the men, bringing the men under to heel, and the men don't want to be. It's kind of like that extreme feminism thing where like they're trying to do the same thing to the women instead of trying to see themselves as equals. They're trying to subjugate them in turn. So you and Saba have gone to Dathomir to basically keep the peace and help this transition go smoothly. Um, so you being strong-headed and Zabraki and Saba, I guess wanting to test you, she lets you mediate. So there's a meeting between the leader of the Dathomiri clan, which oddly enough is not actually a Dathomiri. He's a Hapen male that's chosen to stay on Dathomir and lead the rising or the broken columns, and then the female leader of the Dathomiri women of the Reigning Leaves, who actually is a Dathomiri woman, and they're talking of forming a marriage so that they can unite the clans. But right now they're really button heads. So I guess how would you approach the situation? Like not anything specific, like just like your overarching thing, including your independence and your coldness. Like how would you address this? And feel free to ask questions if you have any, of course.
Huh. I suppose I would try to approach it in a way because obviously they're trying to curtail my independence in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do my best to sort of like see it from the other end, like of a equal. Trying to find a way to put this. Because the leader of the broken column is basically like is he open about wanting to just flip it on its head and do like to them what they did to the men, or
Say that again.
so the leader of the broken column, was he open about wanting to just sort of like flip the old ways on its head and do what they did to the men?
No, no. So that's his constituents, some of them. So there's dissenters, but the overwhelming majority of both sides want to bring these clans together because a lot of them, even though their relationships are supposed to be fleeting, they still have kind of strong emotional ties. Like it's the father or mother of their children. They want to see their daughters or their sons. Like they really want to bring this together. But right now, the debate is over the name of the clan. So I gave you the name the Rising Suns, but they haven't come up with that name just yet. At this point, so they're basically trying. The male name is trying to come up with something very like they're like, okay, well, how about the Shattered Chains or the Broken Shackles? And the women are like, well, how about something nature-esque? So there's like Raining Leaves. There's the Flowing Water Tribe. There's the things like that, and they're not seeing it from each other's side when it comes to names. So that's where they're at. But they want equality. The majority of both sides want equal rights for everybody and no slavery or anything like that. They just want to be one big family.
So I suppose in sort of like having at this point, I would have gotten at least somewhat used to Master Seba's allegories.
Okay.
Um, sort of like in the middle of this where like things are starting to fall apart, and I'm just like I have a sudden epiphany of because what they're talking about something like breaking chains, like breaking a cycle.
Right.
So a big cycle. The big groups were Night Sisters and Night Brothers. So if we're breaking a cycle of Night Brother, Night Sister, there's we're moving towards a dawn of sorts.
Right.
So if in going with something similar to something in sort of a compromise, we want to use something from nature to appease the uh, appease the female side, and something going with the sort of breaking of chains, breaking of cycles on the men's side. So like the rising sun.
Okay, yeah. So you would suggest that kind of. So they have like a council on the top of this mountain, basically, because they have a common land where they all come together. So there's basically there's a flat top hill that the leaders of the clans, they're like pages who carry their banners, and then Saba, who's like standing way off to the side. You all go up there and you discuss, and so you give them the idea, and basically just like lead them to their devices and let them just kind of talk it over. And after they talk and they basically the leaders agree, and before they put it to a vote with the tribe, they come up to you and basically thank you. Like that's they liked how you considered both sides and you gave them something that could easily represent both groups and not show favoritism towards either one. Right? It's very it's very equal for everybody, and the whole thing is like you're giving them an equal name for an equal tribe that represents both sides and their ties to their histories, right? And so as a celebration, which they were planning on doing anyway, as a celebration of uniting of the clan and the wedding, because you guys were invited to the wedding, they hold games that you are free to participate in. So they have basically like events for people with the arts, which is aka force powers, and events for people without the arts, aka non-force powers. So think of it kind of like the Olympics on a smaller scale. And you're invited to participate. So you basically just get to show off, right? Like you're as a Zabraki male on Dathomir with other, Dathomiri men and women around, and you get to play games. So here we actually can do some rolling. There's like shooting events, there's racing events, there's strength events, and there's actually hand-to-hand combat events. So which ones would you participate in?
Probably the racing event, since I'm a pilot of sorts.
Here, so it's foot racing, by the way, not drive. Actually, no,
foot racing.
There's a speeder race, and which is for everybody. Like arts and without the like both people with and without arts are included in the race, like a small speeder race, and then there's actual foot racing, long distance and short distance.
Would the foot race be brawn based or agility based?
Let's look at the skills here. It would be brawn based.
Probably the speeder race, because I'm not as good at brawn stuff as I am with agility stuff.
Okay, so you would do a speeder race. You can participate in like one or two more events.
There was hand-to-hand combat. Would I be able to use agility for that too?
Hand-to-hand combat would just be like fighting in general. So what you could do is we could basically give you. So yeah, you would just roll flat agility checks for that. So even though it's brawl, which is based on brawn, the way you would fight, you would just fight with your agility instead. So you're an agile fighter. So you could use your agility for that.
And there was one more you said?
Like long and short foot races, speeder races. Oh, shooting events. Shooting event.
Probably the shooting event, yeah.
Okay. So the shooting event's first in the day because it doesn't really require much exertion. So imagine kind of like if you've seen like Robin Hood movies where it's like everybody shoots and then they weed those out and the next set and the next set and then it's like down to like you and one other person. So it's you and a Dathomiri woman who is of course has the arts, and you both are firing at a target that's a decent distance away. So give me.
Is it a light blaster or a heavy blaster?
It's a light blaster. Yeah. So roll me a Hold on. Let me set my difficulty. Where's my thingy? Where did I put it? Oh, I hid it behind your character sheet, I think. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just doing my current stats, right?
Yeah, just with what you have now.
Okay. So ranged light.
Yep. Okay, so you don't hit. Let's see if this person hits. Okay, so they get a hit, so they score. So you get it's 3 shots, and they basically tally your points. So right now you're at 0, and she is at 5, so she hit just outside the bullseye. So basically it's like 1 point, 2 points, 5 points, 10 points. So you just kind of missed. So give me another roll. Okay. So that'll get you 2 points to her 5. And she misses. Wait, does she miss? Yeah, she misses. Okay. So now it's basically 5 to 2, and give me one more roll. Alright, you hit, and she misses. Okay, so it is currently a tie, because that tie matched her that hit matched her successes. So it's
Now it's a shoot off.
Now it's the shootout. So basically, it's a best of 1. Basically, both of you just take 1 shot, and whatever happens, this determines the winner. So give me one last round.
Ooh. Oh, man.
All right, and she gets it. Just barely edges you out. She basically hits the edge of the target. So you lose, but you get your runner-up medal. She begrudgingly shakes your hand because she's still kind of the old ways. But she compliments, like, you're good for a man, I guess. And then just kind of takes her medal and walks off at the ceremony. But you're second place. So next up, it's going to be the speeder piloting one.
And that would be planetary piloting?
Yep, planetary piloting. It's not anything complicated. It's basically just a slalom race.
Okay, that's fair.
So basically, you guys are going. You start at the top of the hill. You go down the hill, but you have to hit these checkpoints. So it's just going to be average planetary piloting checks. You're going to make 3.
So do you have the difficulty set?
Yep. Just go ahead and roll them all.
So just machine gun them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I did. Nope. Okay. So I tied you on the first roll. Not that one. So you're ahead. Okay, so let me roll one more and then I'll narrate the race. Okay. No, basically, okay, it's you and one other person. Speeders aren't very common, so that the races only has like 5 people out of this tribe of like 200. So you both are like going down the hill, and you're ducking in and out of the slalom, and you two pull ahead, and you're neck and neck. At the beginning, and then like. You hit that 3rd point, which is midway down the race, and you catch a slight edge. So she catches some sort of bump, and she loses control of her speed for a split second, but it's just long enough for you to edge ahead. And then in the last 2 turns, you just nail them perfectly, just barely touching the flags, and you pull into the finish line well ahead of anybody else, and you win this race. So, of course, the former the males of the tribe erupt in applause, and they're jumping up and down. The women clap, begrudgingly, but they clap. And you're awarded your prize by the Hapen male, which is the former leader of the Broken Columns, now the the Rising Sun. And then the last one was you want to do the combat one, right?
Yeah, the hand-to-hand.
Okay, so you're rolling just 4 agility on that one.
So I'll just roll 4 green, right?
Yep, okay, and then you're going to roll those 3 times as well.
Do you have the difficulty set?
Yes. That, okay. So basically what I'm doing for these is I'm just rock, paper, scissoring, kind of. So it's just like high card wins. Okay. Ooh, okay. So basically, imagine a boxing match. You two are going at it, right? It's a total slugfest. And she lands 2 vicious blows to open up, and kind of force flings you after the 2 vicious blows, so you're kind of on your back. But when she runs at you to finish you off, she stumbles. Either a trick of yours or what have you. Do you, like, I guess, so she stumbles. Is it because of you or is it just sheer luck?
We'll say it's sheer luck.
Okay, so you just get lucky and she catches a thing. You flick some pocket sand up at her, and you come up and basically just take her out. Submission hold, just blow to the neck. Like, how do you want to finish the fight?
Probably blow to the neck.
So you
Nothing
just
lethal, but just like.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a fight to the death. It's just like hand to hand. So basically, you just like kind of bop her, and then she's down. They do like the 10 count, and she's 2 days to get up, and you win that fight. So yay, you win. So you won 2 competitions, and you got second place and a third. And Saba kind of the whole time she's kind of got this weird reptilian smirk on her face as you're going through these trials. But you do really well. I want you to give me a perception check, actually. Okay. All right.
I see the shit out of whatever you're trying to get me to see.
Yeah, so you see it. So you're
Oh
dusting.
wait, no, I fucked that up. 1 second, let me reroll that.
Yeah, that's a lot, actually. Yeah, roll that again.
Nope, I don't see it.
You don't see it. Okay. So you're dusting yourself off, and you feel like eyes on you, right? Like it's not one of those like I'm being watched like danger sense kind of things. It's one of those just like intuitive, like just beings know that they're being watched, but you don't really like you look around and you just can't really figure out what's going on. So you walk over to your master, and she kind of like looks at you and does this weird like sissing chuckle, and points over your shoulder and says, "This one thinks you found some admirers." And you like turn around, I'm assuming, to look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's younger Dathomiri girls, because you're what, like 10 at this point? So you're young.
Let's see, probably yes.
Okay. So yeah, because it was like
I'm 18.
Okay, so you're 13 right now.
So 13, yeah.
Okay, you're 13. So you see, younger Dathomiri girls, and when you look and they realize that you see them, they kind of like giggle and run off. And Sawa 17, like she just Master Tepazine like chuckles again, and says, "This one's going to speak with the master. You can do as you wish. Meet me for dinner." And she just kind of turns and walks off to her speeder to send a message. So is there anything particular like you want to do now that you've finished up the events? By the way, you're a 13-year-old that beat like grown-ass women in some of this stuff. So just keep that in mind. Like you're a Jedi that's actually achieved training, whereas they're like not nice. They're force-sensitive Dathomiri women that the majority of their powers are based in the enhancing themselves like hunting and like wilderness control. So like, oh, I forgot to mention, one thing that Dathomiri women are really good at is training Rancors and using their force sensitivity to like ride them like mounts into combat. So that's not something you can quite do, but that's something that's done here. So it kind of gives you a whole new respect for Dathomiri women, because like, holy shit, they could just like ride a Rancor into battle if they wanted to. So, which gives you no respect for the men, because they stood up to these assaults for so many years. It's like, how did they, live being assaulted by force-sensitive Rancor witches,
Yeah.
Something to think about. But yeah, what do you do now that you got some girls crushing on you, your master's off walking around, it's not quite dinner time yet? Is there anything that Baxis does?
Probably, honestly, find a secluded place and meditate.
Really? You just want to be by yourself, huh?
I'm independent, cold, yeah.
Okay, so you just take your medals, basically. You don't walk around and gloat. You don't show off. You just walk off to a nice quiet spot and sit down. Okay. Okay, so while you do that, some Dathomiri men walk up to you, ones that saw you compete or competed against you at some points. And they kind of... There's 3 men, like late teens, early 20s, and they walk up and they're standing about 10 feet away from you. And you can hear them kind of shuffling as you sit there with your eyes closed meditating. They don't speak, but you can feel their force presences wanting, like their desire to interact with you. You can feel it in the force. It's palpable in the force. Do you ignore them?
I'm talking without pushing my push to talk button.
Oh, okay.
I sort of like I sort of sit there for a little bit, let them sort of like shuffle for a little bit, and then I'll open one eye and say, "How can I help you?"
Well, uh and they like stumble for a minute. Hold on, let me see. Let me get some Dathomirian names here. Because a lot of the, hold on, Dathomiri name change. What? Damn it. Here we go. Okay, so let me close this down. Go away. This up. Okay, so they walk up and so it's like, okay, I'm Narius. This is Torn and this is Rem. We so and they so one of them, and because you do this a lot when you're like nervous, they have this nervous tick of like reaching up and like they don't have hair, right? So they're not scratching their hair, but they kind of like mess with their horns. So like kind of like run a finger across one of their horns on their head, like the little nubs. And they're kind of all doing that, or like holding an arm or something. And the bravest of the three, who introduced himself as a Naris, and he's like, "What's it like being a Jedi? Like, not many men around us have the arts. How does it feel?"
It's a lot of culture shock at first because, as you said, not many of us have the arts, and then I'm suddenly surrounded by people who are as attuned to the Force as I am, or more so.
And as you're speaking, they kind of walk up and sit down in front of you. They kind of sit like they're they're sitting board straight. And they don't quite get comfortable because they're worried that you're just going to tell them to leave as soon as as soon as they sit down. But they kind of sit in front of you and listen. Do you let them sit?
Sure.
Okay. And another thing you would know is like, while Dathomir is not exactly a back rocket planet, not many people leave the planet. They have medical stuff and things like that, but the majority of Dathomiri, especially men, don't leave the planet. They never get to see space, and so the younger one, Rem, he looks at you and he's like, what's it like being on a starship? It's the stars, like, how is it to fly among them?
I just sort of smile because I know exactly what he's talking about,
Okay, yeah.
and it's like,
And he lights up, seeing you smile, like they all kind of like loosen up and sit back. They kind of get that cross leg, like hands behind them on the ground, like leaned back pose as you talk.
it's like it's when you're first out there, it's almost like you have agoraphobia. Like at any moment, you're just gonna like fall into nothingness forever. But once you get used to it, it's just all around you are little lights twinkling and planets whizzing by, uh, stars. It's there are few words to describe it.
And what the guy that hasn't said anything is like, wow, one day I'm gonna leave I'm gonna leave Dathomir and I'm gonna explore every star I can. And he gets that kind of like wistful look in his eye. Um, and the Nari, the one that spoke first, or Narius, he looks at you and says, "Okay, I know you Jedi need your meditation for," and he looks up and he's like, something, and like his friends just kind of like shrug. Um, he's like, "But I have one more question," and he like leans forward and looks at you really seriously, and he's like, "What am I thinking right now?" And he's dead serious. Do you want to wait? Did you not put your push shot again, or did I lose you?
I'm trying to think right now.
Okay.
Because I'm not sort of like I don't use the Force in that way, so
Okay. So here's what you can do. I'll give you a couple things that you can do. You can roll. Let's see. They're kind of all the same for you. So you can roll like a deception or like a skullduggery, and like try to basically do something to kind of
just read them.
like read their face, or kind of like, you know, the whole thing of like, don't think about an elephant, okay, you're thinking about an elephant now, like kind of like try to play them against themselves. Or you can legitimately roll a force point and just try and see if you get anything.
Fuck it.
Which one are you gonna do?
I do not get it.
Well, you can, if you want to take some conflict to reach into his mind and actually extract his thought.
That could be bad. I don't want to like.
Oh, come on, just a little bit.
I could like hurt him. I don't want to do that.
No, like not like physically like rip it out of him, but like actually dive in, invade his privacy, and grab like and pick up the thought and like, okay, this is what it is.
Could I flip it with a light point?
Ah, damn it. Yeah, sure.
I can do that. Because you're obviously you really want to give me conflict.
I do. I'm trying to give you guys more conflict. I'm trying to come up with ways to like force you to take it, and it's hard.
Sure, I'll just use the dark point and take the conflict.
Okay, so just take 2 conflict, and this will go towards whatever you guys get in the next session. So just combine it with that. We'll resolve it later. Okay, so you reach into his mind, and basically what he's thinking about is probably a thought you had a million times when you were a young initiate in the Jedi Order, and it's how badass he would look in Jedi robes with a lightsaber in his hand.
I'm gonna smirk again and say, "Oh wow, what do I say? You'd probably look good, but not as good as me."
And he hits the guy next to him. He's like, he did it. He knows. And yeah, probably not. And he like, just kind of like, he does like a not like a serious, but he like hangs his head dejectedly, like in a joking manner to kind of like go with the joke. But they're all like super excited, and they're like, they thank you profusely, and they get up and they leave. And as they're leaving, you see those same 3 giggly girls again. And as the guys like walk away, like 2 of the girls push one like in your direction, and she like stumbles back and falls back into them, and they don't approach you, but they keep looking at you and whispering. By the way, the new Jedi Order is not as against attachment and like relationships as the old Order. Many Jedi are like, were married, get married, have kids, things like that. So it's not like totally unheard of for you to for that thing to happen. So Anakin fucked that up for everybody. Or I guess helped everybody out.
I just sort of like half call out to them is like, if you want to say something, come over here and say it.
So kind of more of like all right, let's get this over with, let's go, right? Like kind of that not quite douchey, but not patient, famous person that's just like, come on, let's do this now, and let's go and get it over with. You're getting in the way of me doing shit. So
yes, but I'm like trying to I mean, I want to. I suppose I want to say like I'm trying to sort of like curtail it as much as I can.
so okay, so you're being as nice as you know how to be. Essentially, is what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So they walk over, and the girl that got pushed, she's the taller of the set, and she's obviously the oldest. And Dathomiri girls, like, they don't have the horns and stuff. They're basically just kind of lighter skin, but she has hair, unlike most of the Night Sisters and stuff. She has long flowing hair, like down like her waist. Um, and she like looks at you and does like a like awkward like switch, and she's like, "I was just hey, would you sit with me at dinner?"
I certainly wouldn't be against it. I would need to speak with my master first. I'm sure she wouldn't have an issue with it, but I would need to consult with her first.
And she kind of like jumps, like there's like a little. I don't have my camera on, but like like the little anime girl jumps, like her hands like clutched at her chest, and she like jumps and kind of like turns to her friends and like starts whispering excitedly. And as this interaction ends, they kind of like run off in the direction of where the dinner's going to take place. And you see Master Sabatine has turned away from the speeder she was sending a message at, and she's just kind of like watching you at a distance. So she's standing there just kind of looking at you. And you get the idea that, and this is like a normal interaction for you, where she just looks at you and she waits for you to approach. She's basically waiting, ready for you, and she's just waiting for you to decide to come talk to her again.
Okay, then I'll get up and walk over to her.
Okay, so she has that like smirk and that kind of sissing chuckle when she says, "How were your meditations, Padawan?"
Not as successful as I would have liked, but certainly not not entertaining.
Okay, so she sisses again and shakes her head, and she says, "If what I sense is to be true, those girls are expecting you for dinner this evening."
Yes. Would you be okay with me having dinner with them?
And in what you know to be a Barabelle fashion, instead of like exclaiming like a no shit kind of thing, like a very like obvious affirmation, her tail kind of slaps the ground, and she just kind of like does like the sweeping like gesture, like go ahead, and she nods.
And I do the sort of half bow and say thank you, master, and I walk off, I guess.
Okay. So there's not much to roleplay. You're 13-year-old kids, like unless you're sexually active 13-year-olds, a bracky male. It's just like a cute dinner where like they talk to you and ask you basically very similar questions to what the males ask you, but theirs is more focused on like what space looks like and what kind of like what things you've seen on different planets is basically what they ask you about. So it's like you're just regaling them with missions, and like maybe like the beautiful core, like how crazy Coruscant is because it's an entire planet that's a city and that kind of thing.
Attack ships on fire over the shoulder of Orion.
Yeah, right.
Sea beams glittered in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate.
These are references I'm not getting, but I'm sure they're good.
Oh, it's the Tears in the Rain speech from Blade Runner.
Ah, okay.
Something you should definitely see.
I feel like I have seen that movie, and I just don't remember that speech.
It's at the very end. Let me get a video for it.
Okay, I'll look it up. You said the Tears in the Rain?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look that up for sure. But yeah, like you basically just kind of give them a rundown, and yeah, you've stolen the heart of some Dathomiri little girls. But that's basically it. After everything's done, the dinner's over. basically the two leaders of the clans insist you stay the night, and celebrate like in the actual. Well, they insist that Saba stays and celebrates with them in the adult portion of the celebration, aka drinking and boozing it up. Um, while the kids are basically relegated to going back to their tents and going to their bed, like having bedtime, and you're sent to um, basically go check on the ship, which is back at the spaceport, um, and make sure that everything's ready so that when Saba comes in the morning, you guys can take off.
Okay.
So yeah, she sends you back, and I'm assuming that you're kind of always been. I mean, so you have 4 agility base, right? And that's kind of like what you're born with. So I'm assuming like you were always kind of like naturally gifted at handling craft. So this isn't something that you really need to learn. You were just kind of born into it, and you're just developing it as you get older. So you definitely like wind up the engines, get everything good to go. It's the same type of ship that you guys fly on your missions. It's that same type of light freighter / personal carrying craft. You get everything ready to go. Make sure pre-flight system checks. Do you actually sleep, or do you try to meditate again and actually get some quiet time?
Meditate then sleep.
Meditate then sleep. Okay. What are you meditating on? So like, are you just doing the whole like Zen clear your mind completely thing, or are you meditating to try to glean information from an interaction? Are you delving deeper into an issue with yourself? Like, what do you meditate on? What do you try to do?
Probably just like a Zen clear the mind thing.
Okay. Um. Okay. And non non character question, but more of like an overarching like goal. Are you going for kind of like the gray Jedi, like pushing the border, like Mace Windu did, of like channeling their anger against them, like kind of using yourself as a conduit to channel it back against them? Or are you more so like getting inspiration from him but not taking it that far? What's the end goal here?
A little bit. I mean, that's probably a good way to put it, but it's not necessarily as close to the brink as he did. More just like because it's all derived from wanting to redeem myself in, I suppose, my own eyes. I
Okay.
guess because of the whole I'm like a cousin to Savage and Maul.
Okay. And I guess
So
you
it's like
don't have that.
I don't want to like stray too close and risk making the same mistakes they did.
Okay. Okay. And I want to try to push those buttons as you progress through your. So basically, I have some buttons to push for Baxos now to try and force you to take conflict. So this should be good. Was there anything that you wanted to address in this, or any questions, or anything that you had? Any suggestions for what we're doing? Like, what you got?
Off offhand, I can't really think of anything.
Okay. Are you enjoying the system so far?
Oh yeah,
Okay. And are you enjoying, I guess, my running of the system? Like,
yeah, you're doing a good job.
okay, cool. I appreciate it. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I am going to try and, but one, I'm gonna try to push your characters' buttons. Like, I want you guys to take some conflict. I want there to be some like dark side temptations that you guys suffer, which are going to come up fairly soon. Um, you're going to take some conflict on failed rolls, so don't feel punished. And I am going to try and hurt you guys in a few specific instances. Physically as kind of like a stressor towards other things. Like I have like an overarching goal here. So don't take anything I do personal. I promise it's not personal.
Oh, sure. I sort of half expect you to have someone like make a direct comparison between me and Maul or Savage.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna
And it's
happen,
just gonna be like me yelling, "I am not them."
and then flying into a rage and trying to murder them.
Yes.
Basically, is what's gonna happen. Which is great. I'm gonna love it. So Let me see what we got here. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to cover really. Like you got your gear, we did some bookkeeping. You got a dual bladed lightsaber with the superior heal quality, so you're gonna be doing some damages. Um, okay, it's this system is really bad for like not giving me like okay, so all the stat blocks for all this stuff is built around you guys not having lightsabers, like everybody having blaster pistols and like vibro swords. So you guys ignore 10 soak and you ignore 1 defense, right? I have not come across anything yet that has more than 5 soak and more than 1 defense. Yet. I'm having to give people like parry and like upgraded versions of things to like make them have a chance against you. And that guy yesterday could have 2-shot Dinkel's character if I got the chance. And I didn't get a
But we
chance.
just freaking decimated
Yeah,
him.
I was so worried about killing somebody that I actually kind of gave you guys a little bit too much of a hands up, I think. Because that crit that gave you the immediate free action again was just like ridiculous. Like it basically just eviscerated him to the point where he got crit so many times he couldn't do anything. So I considered rolling a dark side destiny point to kind of like ignore the effects of a crit, but I felt that was a little too gamey, so I just let it go. I wasn't sure if that'd be fair or
It's
not.
just like a learning experience. You
Yeah.
sort of gotta like know how too much leeway is too much, sort of thing.
Yeah. And but you guys haven't encountered any real Sith yet, or any real like actual challenging Force users. So that's next on the list. Spoiler alert. But I do have
Yeah, because just because Sidious and Vader are gone doesn't mean that the teachings of the Sith aren't gone too.
right.
They can always find like Bane's holocron or Pelagius's holocron or whatever.
Yeah. So and the thing is, and one of the reasons that I wanted to put you guys in the Order of First Knowledge is that the Order of First Knowledge has a lot of brushes up against like Sith, like cultists. So people that collect Sith artifacts, and while they're not necessarily force sensitive, or if they are, they can barely do anything more than like lift a pencil 2 inches. They worship the Sith as if they were gods. So that's a kind of thing where like you guys will be interacting with people that have tapped some sort of dark side thing. So it's gonna come up soon where you guys are actually fighting things that are gonna have some serious influence over the dark side. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds cool to me.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me turn the stream off. Actually,